Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty wild geopolitical forecast for 2026. And the really interesting thing is, it tries to predict the future not through politics, but through something much colder: geometry. Right. So, the whole idea from the source material we're looking at is that the high stakes dance between Trump, Putin, and Zelensky, it's not about political maneuvering. It's actually a physics problem. It sees them as these energy fields, basically destined to collide and settle based on pure structural logic. So let's just set the stage here for a second. Picture this. It's 2026. The Russia-Ukraine war is at this incredibly critical point, and a re-elected Donald Trump is back on the world stage, pretty much ready to shake everything up. So how does this all play out? Well, to explore one very specific, and I mean very specific possible answer, we're going to use this unique analytical tool that's laid out in our sources. It's called the geometric structure driving theory, and it is a really different way of looking at leadership. So what even is this theory? Okay, the long and short of it is it models leaders and even whole countries as these geometric structures that have four core axes of energy. You can almost think of it like a personality profile, but for power itself. First up, you've got the power axis. The original theory calls it zhengguan. This is just a leader's raw executive strength. You know, their ability to get stuff done, sign orders, command the whole state apparatus. It's pure administrative muscle. Next, we've got resources, or zhengtai. Now, this is the economic engine, right? It's the money, the assets, the financial stability that's backing up every single decision. Because without this, even the most powerful leader is really just shouting into the void. Then there's the reputation axis, or zhengyin. This is all about influence, public image, and that personal brand or story that a leader tells. It's the narrative that fuels their support and gives them legitimacy, beyond just their formal title. And finally, there's the intellect axis, or zhengzhi. This one governs strategy, logical thinking, and the role that expert opinion plays in how a leader makes decisions. You can think of it as the voice of the advisors, the data, the traditional bureaucracy. Okay, now this is where it all starts to click together. This slide basically lays out the fundamental operating system for each of these guys. You can see Putin is driven to turn his personal legacy, his reputation, into raw state power. Trump, totally different. He's all about turning state power directly into resources, into deals. And Zelensky's original drive? Using intellect to build up resources. But what's really crucial here is that highest conflict row. It shows their biggest internal struggle. Just take a look, because these dynamics are going to be key to understanding everything else. Okay, so let's put this theory into practice. Let's look at the case study and see how this model maps out what it predicts will be a super dramatic and volatile year for a potential President Trump in 2026. This is where it gets incredibly specific. So the model predicts the first few months of the year are just this power monetizing spree for Trump. He's using financial tools, think tariffs, budget cuts, to get absolute administrative control. But notice the trade-off in those first couple months. His reputation risk just skyrockets. He's basically sacrificing social goodwill to build up raw executive power. And by April, things get, well, pretty wild. The conflict angle between his power axis and his intellect axis hits a staggering 176.54 degrees. Now, in this model, 180 degrees is a perfect opposition. So what this means is his actions are predicted to be in near total rejection of expert advice, of data, of traditional logic. It's just pure will. But here's the thing. This buildup of power and this rejection of logic, it can't last forever. The model predicts that summer is when everything just reaches a spectacular breaking point, a moment the source calls the July rupture. And this right here illustrates the core of that rupture perfectly. Look at that. His reputation score hits a historic peak. His personal brand is stronger than it's ever been. But look at the cost. Financial risk spikes to a catastrophic level, suggesting like a severe credit crisis or a massive market shock. He achieves this legendary status, but at the expense of economic stability. And the way the source material puts it is just perfect. It's a calculated trade. You burn down the material foundation, the economy, in order to build a spiritual totem, an unforgettable personal legacy, probably through some huge dramatic gamble on the world stage. Okay, so with that really intense prediction for Trump in our back pocket, let's zoom out and see how the geometric structures of all three of these leaders are predicted to collide in this high-stakes game. So the model suggests that Trump and Putin have this kind of strange symmetry. They both have a deep dislike for bureaucracy and expert advice, right? And that lets them talk directly, leader to leader. But here's the fatal flaw in that relationship. Their end goals completely clash. Putin will burn money for his legacy, for his reputation. But for Trump, the money is the legacy. So any alliance between them is just temporary by design. Now here is the real collision. According to this geometric model, Trump and Zelensky are the most incompatible pair of the three. Their core logics are in direct opposition. For Trump, Zelensky's entire structure just looks like a bad deal. It's a project that only eats up resources without giving a tangible return on investment. It's a fundamental structural rejection. So how does this all come to a head in the summer of 2026? How does this triangle of clashing forces finally settle down? Let's take a look at the final prediction. Well, the theory predicts a very fragile kind of peace, but one that's born from mutual exhaustion, not trust. Trump gets that huge July reputation peak by forcing some kind of massive deal. But with his own financial risk through the roof, his resource base is collapsing. He has no choice but to issue an ultimatum: stop the war, or the resources from us stop flowing entirely. So by the end of the year, where does everyone land up to the dust settles? Well, the model shows each leader left in a weakened but stable position. Putin is low on cash, running on reputation. Zelensky has shifted from a wartime symbol to a more formal institutional leader. And Trump is ruling based on sheer personal will, from a pretty badly damaged economic foundation. A cold, geometric settlement has been reached. And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought from this whole model. In this new landscape, survival isn't about having the most power or the most money. It's about adaptability. It's about who can rebuild their own structure faster than their risks can consume them. And that is a question this fascinating geometric model leaves open for the future to decide.